Alright, angles in triangles. So today we have two theorems. Our first theorem is called the triangle angle sum theorem. So we're talking about the angles in a triangle, and how many angles are there in a triangle? 3, hence the name triangle. Tri means 3. So 3 angles. And then it says we have the angle sum theorem. So we're going to take those 3 angles. Think way back to algebra for a second. Don't say it yet. Just think, dig around in your brain. Dig, dig, dig. What does sum tell us we're going to do? Addition. We're going to add. So we're going to add those angles. Last week when we started talking about triangles. Okay, the 3 angles of a triangle. Add to 180 degrees. The 3 angles of a triangle add to 180 degrees, and that's going to be really important as we work through the next couple of lessons. So I'm going to highlight that, add to 180 degrees.
So no matter what type of triangle it is, no matter what the side lengths are, if they're big, if they're small, those angles inside, those measures of those angles will always add up to 180 degrees.
We're going to do a couple examples with this. We're going to start with just a simple triangle. Okay, I'm going to do an obtuse triangle here. So that's bigger than 90. Alright, this angle on the inside, my obtuse angle, is going to be 107 degrees. And this angle down here, I'm going to say is 36 degrees. Trouble focusing today, sorry. Our goal is to find this missing angle. What is the last one that we're missing? So I'm going to put a question mark there. Now, usually we would put like an X there or a number, but on your practice today, there's a couple where they have question marks, so we're just doing that question mark. That's our goal, is to find out that missing angle. Okay, to find that missing angle, we know that all 3 of those up to 180. So we could write out an equation. We could do 107 plus 36 plus our third angle, our question mark. And all together those would have to add up to 180. So when we solve that equation, what would we do? How would we figure out what is that question mark? We could start by subtracting. What would you subtract first, Hannah? You would do 180 minus what? What did you just say? 107 minus 36? But those are together. That's right. We can put those together. But we're adding those together. So let's add them. What's 107 plus 6?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be easier to just add 107 plus 36 minus 180?
Whoa. Guess what we're just about to do, Simon? We just did 107 plus 36. We did that. And then guess what we're going to do to get rid of adding 143? We're going to subtract 143. We're just writing it out algebraically. I think what you meant, Simon, was just do it in our heads or just use our calculators without writing it all down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, we're just showing the mathematical reasoning behind that. So 180 minus 143? 37. And we're measuring an angle, so how should we label our angle? Good. When we do angles, angles are always measured in degrees. So that's one way to do it. You can add those two angles together and then subtract that from 180 because we know that those two together have to make 180. And you might do that without writing this algebraic equation. That's okay. Just trying to show you that we still use algebra even in geometry. How exciting. Okay, another way you might do this is just by taking 180 and you might do minus 107 minus 36. Now you wouldn't write it like that if you're going to do it by hand, but some people would just do that in their calculator. If you take 180 minus 107 minus 36, we get 37. So two different ways to get the same answer. You could add first and then subtract, or you could just start by subtracting from 180 right away. Okay, either way would be good ways to do that. Again, you might show your work differently, or you might just plug it into your calculator right away. All right, number 2. 2 has a little bit more of a complex drawing. So you make sure you're drawing number 2 with me as we draw number 2. Draw number 2. Number 2, we're going to start off with an X. That's a little off-centered. And then we connect them so they actually become triangles. All right, in this bottom angle here, this is going to be 85 degrees. This top angle is going to be 40 degrees. Here we have angle 5. We don't know how many degrees that is. We're just going to label it 5. Here is angle 2. And then with these other two angles, we are given that they're congruent to each other. So we're going to make those little congruent signs, those little arcs. And we'll label that 3 and 8, just for funsies. So our goal in this problem is to find each of those numbered angles. We need to figure out what is the measure of angle 5, the measure of angle 2, measure of angle 3, and we need to find the measure of angle 8. We're doing all 4 of them. So these are really like two separate triangles. We're going to separate them kind of in our brain. I'm going to make one of them purple. If you'd like to make yours purple with me, you can. Or you can use a highlighter and highlight it yellow. One orange. So we're going to break apart those triangles in our brain as two separate triangles, even though they look like they're connected. Now with those two separate triangles, which one should we start with? Should we start with that purple one or with the orange one? What made you choose purple, Xavier? Because we have angle measurements. Do we have any angle measurements for the orange?
No.
No. So we're going to start with that purple. We'll start by finding that angle 5. So a couple ways we can do that. We can think 85 plus 40. Plus angle 5 has to equal how much altogether? 180. So you might show this a little bit different. What is 85 plus 40? $125. So then you might do 180 minus 125. Sometimes our work just gets a little all over the place, and that's okay. I'd probably use my calculator at this point. 180 minus 125, 55. So that tells us our missing angle there, that angle number 5, is 55 degrees. Because 40, 85, and 55 would make 180. So this was part of the purple problem, purple triangle. Alright, now as we take a look at this, we have to somehow get to that orange triangle. So think back to everything you know about your angle relationships. As we look from our purple to our orange, think. Are they vertical? What does vertical mean? They share a vertex and they're congruent. They're across from each other. Yep. So 5 and 2 would be vertical. So because 5 and 2 are vertical angles, vertical, we know vertical angles are what? The same. They're congruent. Good. So then we know measure of angle 2 is 55. Alright, now so for this orange triangle, we know angle 2 is 55 degrees. But then we also know that these two are congruent to each other. Does that mean that they are both 55?
No.
55 plus 55 plus 55, would that make 180? No. They're not congruent to that 2, because otherwise we'd have to have that line there. But what we do know is that they're the same. So we could do 55 plus, if we wanted to write out the equation, and then we're going to label it as a variable, or we could do a question mark, but a variable might make more sense. Let's just use x. So x. But if one of them is x, what's the other one? They're congruent, which means they are the same. They're both x. And it would equal 180. And we could solve that equation. Some of you might do that out writing it out algebraically. However, technically your brain is still solving an equation, even if you didn't write it out this way. Fun facts, algebra, we use it a lot. Alright, so how would we solve this? What would we do first? We could combine the x's, sure. What's x plus x? That'd be x times x.
How many x's do we have?
2x, so just 2x. Equals 180. And those of you that maybe didn't write it algebraically, you're going to see that we do the exact same steps as how you were thinking. So to get x by itself, would we start by undoing the 2 or undoing the 55? 55. And how would we undo adding 55? Subtract 55. Side. Do it to the other. $180 minus 55, we get 125. Now we know that that's between both those angles, so we need to take that 125 and we need to split it up into two parts, which is really similar to this. How do I undo a multiplying by 2? Divide. If we do it on one side, we do it on the other. So we're going to take that 125 and we're going to split it up into two parts, which means to divide by 2, and we get 62.5. Is that okay that we got a decimal? Are our lives going to go on even though we got a decimal as an answer? Yes, it will. And we know that these two are congruent, so we know they're both 62.5 what? Degrees. Good. I would tell you that's the only way we can measure angles with degrees, but that's not true. You'll find that out next year. How fun. Alright, we have one more theorem we're going to learn, so I'm going to draw a horizontal line across because this one's a little bit different than the others, what we've been doing. Alright, our next theorem is called the exterior angle theorem.
So we've seen that word exterior before. What is an exterior angle? On the outside.
Good, an outside angle. Now, the exterior angle theorem is pretty optional. You do not have to use the exterior angle theorem. You just might have to do more work in order to not use it. And that's okay. You'll get the same answer as everyone else. You'll just have an added extra step or 2 added extra steps to your work. And that's totally fine. This just kind of gives us a shortcut in finding some of our missing angles. So, an exterior angle, we're going to draw a triangle. But one of the sides of the triangles, we're going to go longer than the triangle. We're going to extend that out. Okay, that angle that is extended out, this angle here, that is the angle on the outside, so that is our exterior angle. Now we're going to be focusing on 2 interior angles, but the 2 interior angles we're going to focus on are the ones that aren't touching it. So the one over here and the one over here. So not the one right next to it, but the other 2. Because those are the 2 that are not touching, we call them the remote interior angles.
That word remote kind of means like far away or from a distance.
You think of a TV remote, do you have to be right next to the TV to use it? No, that's the whole point of a remote, is you can change the channel from far away. Okay, remote, you can be further away. Alright, now if I take these 2, I know that this third angle has to make 180 with that one. But then this purple also has to make 180 because it makes that line with it. So because these 3 have to make 180 and these 2 have to make 180, it actually ends up that this purple angle, this exterior angle, is equal to the sum of these orange angles. Okay, so we add the remote interior angles together to equal the exterior angle. I think we might prove that later on this chapter. So we have 2 more examples. I'm going to be out of space here, so I'm going to the next page. So you might need to go to the next page. If not, you might be able to do these side by side, depending on how much work you show. It's your choice. Alright, so example number 3. I'm going to draw a triangle. I'm going to do one line that's kind of longer. And then I'm going to draw a triangle off of that line, so just a little off.
You're gonna have one line sticking up at the top a little bit.
Okay, what we know is we know that this angle here is 33 degrees. And we know that this is degrees. And our goal is to find what is that exterior angle there. Which right now, based on this picture, you're probably like, why the heck do we have to find that exterior angle? And it's because later on we're going to get more complicated questions. So this is just building in a little step there for us to know. So I'm going to label it, my exterior angle is that question mark there.
So we're not saying it's congruent to anything there, we're just kind of marking up which one is that exterior angle we want to find.
What are the remote angles? The 33 and the 78. So we'll talk more about how we can find that exterior angle based on those remote interior back from lunch. We're going to explore it both ways. And then we have one short problem after that, so you'll have a lot of time to do your work after lunch, so make sure you come back after lunch. Most people that are here usually come back after lunch. Some of us like to stay. We'll see you after lunch. Alright, so on this problem we are looking for that exterior angle. Okay, one way we could do that is by finding this interior angle here, this x. Let's name that x. Because then we know all three of these, 33 and 78. I'll write those there because it kind of got blurry, sorry. Okay, we could find that inside angle because we know all three of those angles would have to add up to 180. So we could do 33 plus 78. I don't have my calculator on me anymore. 111?
Yeah.
Okay, and then 180 minus 111. Thanks. I was just hoping that they would do more math for me, but appreciate it. 180 minus 111. Like 69.
Okay.
Close enough. Alright, so now we know this inside angle here is 69 degrees. How could I find that outside angle? What do I know about these two angles that are right next to each other? What do they make? Okay. Simon, yo, focus. Alright, these two here, I have this one I know is now 69 degrees because that's what makes 180. I want to find this outside angle. So what do I know about these two angles that are right next to each other? They're supplementary. Good. And supplementary means they have to add up to how much? 180. So I could do 180 minus 69. And what am I going to get? 111. So really the idea of doing our remote interior angles, this 33 plus 78, is it gives us that 111 right off the bat. Having to do minus 180 and then 180 minus again. So we don't have to do all that work. Again, if you do that work, that's okay. But here we know our question mark is actually equal to 111 degrees. And we could have just done that by doing 33 plus 78 the first time around. All right, we have one more problem, number 4. All right, again, we're going to be dealing with an exterior angle. This thing, I'm telling you, it's starting to not be great. Alright, so for number 4, we have another exterior angle, so I'm going to go down like that. Alright, this time I know my exterior angle is 126 degrees. Alright, I know this angle at the top, I'm going to do a little arrow into that corner because I won't be able to write it very clear. That's going to be 83 degrees. And I want to know how much is this angle here. So I'm going to color code that with my exterior and my interior. So which angle is my exterior angles? 83 is really on the inside of that triangle because that's what that arrow's telling me. Yep, exterior. 126, thanks. So which ones are the remote interior angles? 83. And is it this question mark or is it the one right here? The question mark, the one that's not touching, it's not the linear pair. So what this tells me is if I take my 2 interior remote angles and I add them, it should equal my exterior angle. So I know 83 plus my question mark, my unknown. Together they should add up to equal that exterior angle, 126. So there's a couple ways we could solve that. A lot of people might not write out that equation, and that's okay. But if I know this plus this equals 126, how can I solve? How'd you get that, Cody? What'd you do? How do you get that?
I did 180 minus 126 to get to 54.
Oh, okay, pause for a second. You're on the right track. Give me 1 second. We'll come back to you in just a moment. With this strategy, how would we get rid of that adding 83? Yeah, minus 83. And we get that a question mark would equal 6 minus 3 is 3. 12 minus 8 is 4. It's an angle, so right now we're going to label our angles in degrees. Alright, so Cody, the way he was explaining it was a little bit different. However, what did you get for your answer, Cody? 43. So, again, you don't have to use this exterior angles theorem if it doesn't make sense to you. Cody, how did you find your answer?
I did 180 minus 126 to get that corner.
Okay, so you could have found this corner here, and how much that corner?
54.
54, because these two together would have to make 180. And then what?
I did 54 plus 83.
54 plus 83,
137,
and then 180 minus 137. So you can use that triangle angle sum and use that idea of having a supplementary angle here. That is an option. You can do that. We should get the same answer either way. It's just one more, probably an extra step. Here I could just do 126 minus 83. You do yours a little more complicated, but we get the same answer, and it doesn't matter. Fun facts. All right.